superstar.
He's fired up, Amanda.
And then for the first time here at Charlotte, a Ford has now taken victory. Ben, you started 19th today. You almost had a 2-second lead there at the end. How did you allow this truck to come to you today?
I don't really know, to be honest with you.
Hey guys, it's Tim and this is Wrestling Unlimited as it's Friday and tonight was Friday Night Smackdown. As far as tonight's Friday Night Smackdown does go, I thought tonight was a very good, smooth episode of Smackdown, and you can maybe say, well, it was pre-taped, so they could edit the show and they could make it as smooth as they wanted. Maybe. But I thought tonight's show flowed really well. Things worked out moving into tomorrow's Money in the Bank. Not Money in the Bank. I was just working on Money in the Bank graphics. Going in to tomorrow's Night of Champions pay-per-view or premium live event. And so, yeah, I thought tonight's SmackDown was a really good episode of the show. Remember, it was a pre-tape show, so things could have been edited. We know we got all those Michael Cole segments that he filmed audio from home because you can hear the difference in the audio. Michael Cole does this every time there's a pre-tape show. They'll throw in segments of like last week on SmackDown, and you just hear Michael Cole. Last week on SmackDown, we did see the Usos try to get involved with Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and the WWE World Tag Team Champions Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. But unfortunately, you know, and it just doesn't seem like an in-the-moment kind of, oh, and last week on SmackDown, we did see the Usos try to get involved. You know, it's him just like, they gave him a script, they said read it, and he just reads it. But regardless, I thought it was a good episode of Friday Night SmackDown. So with that, I want to say thank you if you're watching here, whether that's live or later. If you're watching live, twitch.tv/PW Unlimited, or watching or listening later on YouTube, youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Remember, if you are watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can help us out by hitting that donate button down below, or by donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel one of two different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription, or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime, because remember, if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and it always gives you one free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month, and I'd greatly appreciate it if you did right here, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Also, remember, you can head over to YouTube and become a channel member by hitting the join button down below. And finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something. Whether you're buying a new game like Star Wars Jedi Survivor, trying to get the pre-order on Alan Wake 2, which weirdly enough is going to only be a digital game, or you're getting an old game like Cyberpunk or Grand Theft Auto 5, use this code right here, PW Unlimited at checkout, and you will be supporting us at no extra cost. Trying to get the free game right now, which is Fallout New Vegas Ultimate Edition. Great game. Again, use code PWU NLIMITED at checkout, and you will be supporting us at no extra cost. Use our code for all Epic Games and Epic Game Store purchases. So as far as the show itself does go, the show did kick off with Michael Cole welcoming everybody to the show and reminding viewers that tomorrow is Night of Champions, tomorrow morning. Well, they keep saying afternoon because if you're on the East Coast, it is afternoon. But if you're like me on the West Coast, it's morning before noon. So, yeah. Wade Barrett hopped in along with Cole, and they ran down some of the card for the night tonight. Sheamus' music hit, and we jump into our first match, the U.S. title match. Austin Theory defending against Sheamus in a 12-minute match. Well, that was a really good opening match. I thought this was a great way to kick off the show. The two locked up and began the match with Sheamus getting the best of Theory at first. Things turned around after Theory hit a rolling drop kick and went for 10 beats, but Sheamus fought out until Theory ran Sheamus into the ring post and slammed Sheamus on the apron. The show went to its first commercial break at this point. Back from the break, Theory was pounding on Sheamus' back inside the ring. Theory then went for a couple pin attempts, but Sheamus kicked out both times at 1. Theory landed a rolling blockbuster for a 2 count. Theory then toyed with Sheamus, which only fired Sheamus up. Sheamus then hit the Irish Curse backbreaker for a 2 count. Sheamus then landed a wild power slam for another 2. Sheamus had Theory on his back and climbed to the second rope, but Theory fought out and pounded on Sheamus' back again. Theory lifted Sheamus and slammed Sheamus for a 2. Theory went for a rolling blockbuster, but was met with a knee from Sheamus. Sheamus teased 10 beats of the Baldwin, but Theory kicked his way out and picked up a chair for a DQ. Ridge Holland then took the chair away from him. Sheamus then commenced with 10 beats, but then ultimately went to 25. Then, just out of nowhere, Pretty Deadly would show up. They start brawling with the Brawling Brutes outside the ring. They climbed up on the apron and got Sheamus' attention, which for a brief moment allowed Theory to roll him up. 1, 2, 3, pick up the victory. So there we go. Theory successfully retains the championship. Flash roll-up victory, but there was that distraction from Pretty Deadly. So it looks like eventually it's going to be Sheamus and one of the other members of the Brutes against Pretty Deadly. So let me get a segment from the Bloodline. Turns out Roman Reigns, which we knew, is going to celebrate day 1,000 tomorrow. And next week, he's going to have a day 1,000 celebration on SmackDown. And he wants the whole family to be there. Jimmy Uso was told. So then he's like, yeah, we don't need you guys tomorrow for Saudi Arabia, Night of Champions, but I want you guys to be here next week when I celebrate 1,000 days. And the Usos are like, all right, cool. We can go then. And they both stand up. Or Jimmy stands up. And Roman's like, where are you going? He goes, you said you don't need us. I'm hungry. I'm going to get some food. And Roman's like, sit down. Jimmy don't sit down. Roman says it again. Jimmy doesn't budge. Roman then stands up. Gets in Jimmy's face and says, you remember what it was like when we were kids? I whooped your ass then and I'll whoop your ass now. Got a little stare down. And then eventually, because Jimmy wouldn't listen, Roman kicked him out of the locker room and Jay followed his brother. So that's an interesting one right there. So instead of before in 2020, when it was Jay wanting to defy Roman or not wanting to do what Roman wanted to tell him to do and listen to Roman and be Roman's lackey, now it's Jimmy who no longer wants to be the lackey, which is kind of weird because I don't know. The Usos have kind of gone up and down, ebbs and flow, and I don't know. Because it's like, okay, first it was Jay, didn't want to be with Roman. Or he didn't want to see Roman as the tribal chief, so then him and Roman feuded, and then Jimmy came back, and then Jimmy was kind of apprehensive for a moment, but then was like, yeah, cool, no, we're getting all this opportunity and attention. And then Jay and Jimmy were just cool with Roman, and then Jimmy was kind of cool with Sammy, and then all of a sudden Jimmy was not cool with Sammy, and then Jay started becoming cool with Sammy, and now Jay's still kind of cool with Sammy, but not really cool with Sammy, and now Jay's kind of like, what the hell, Roman, and now Jimmy's kind of now, what the hell, Roman, but then Jay's now all of a sudden, oh no, we got to listen to Roman, and Jimmy's like, no, we don't, and this and that, so I don't know. The Usos have gone like this in this storyline, but for some reason it's worked. It's worked. We then had a tag team match. It was Raquel Rodriguez and Shotzi against Damage Control's Bayley and Io Sky. Raquel and Bayley began the match, but Sky tagged in pretty quickly. Before long, all four women were brawling in the ring, where the action spilled to the outside, where Shotzi landed a suicide dive on both Sky and Bayley. Back in the ring, Shotzi covered Sky for a 2. Raquel tagged in and went for a choke slam on Sky, but Bayley had tagged in and took control from Damage Control. Both Sky and Bayley tried to control Rodriguez, but Rodriguez ultimately got the hot tag to Shotzi, who worked over Bayley with a bulldog, a right hand, and a kick. Shotzi suplexed Bayley and hit a splash on Bayley, who was draped over the second rope for a 2 count. Sky tagged in and, along with Bayley, kicked Shotzi's head. Shotzi came back with a suplex and pinned Sky, but then Bayley broke it up. She didn't get the full pin. Bayley did break up the pin. Raquel then tagged in and lifted Sky, who worked out of it and drove Raquel's head into the turnbuckle. Raquel then came back with came back to drive Sky into the corner. Bayley tagged in, and in a weird sequence, Sky came off the top. Sky came off the top to take out Shotzi, but then Raquel just sat down on Bayley and pinned her. Kind of weird. She just sat on Bayley, kind of, which is, I don't know. The match was all right. It wasn't like super, super good. I don't have much faith in that 4-way coming up next week on Raw. To be completely honest. But we then got a condensed version of Seth Rollins interviews on Raw and an AJ Styles video package as well, just to remind us, hey, this match is happening tomorrow. We got a Grayson Waller hype video before Hit Row would make their way to the ring. Hit Row came out because Ashanti the Adonis took on Cameron Grimes. And hey, what the hell was Hit Row doing with the ski masks on? They gonna go rob a bank? Because they look like 3 people going to rob your house or rob a bank or whatever. So I don't know what that was all about. Not a good look, in my opinion. They look like, I guess you say, street thugs. Maybe that was the goal. Look like street thugs. So Grimes had an inset promo early on during his entrance from backstage before the match. Grimes came out firing on all cylinders to start the match. Top Dollar stopped Grimes' momentum by grabbing Grimes' foot. Ashanti took advantage of the interference and hit Grimes with a series of moves. Grimes then eventually yelled, "To the moon!" and hit the cave-in to pick up the victory. Match itself, 2 minutes and 10 seconds. After the match, Baron Corbin briefly attacked Grimes in the entrance. Then, out came Bianca Belair. She had a microphone in the ring. Belair talked about how she's going to defend her title against Asuka at Night of Champions. Belair spoke about how, quote, good it feels to be Raw Women's Champion, even though you're still on, or now on SmackDown. They don't want to stop that streak, that title reign, that number. Kind of like with Roman. They don't want to stop that number. Anyways, Belair talked about how Asuka humiliated her in her hometown a couple of weeks ago. Belair said she's going to give Asuka a fight, which was enough to cue Asuka's music. Asuka attacked Belair from behind and sunk in an armbar on Belair until officials broke it all up. Same officials broke up the attempted KOD of Belair. Then we had LA Knight versus Rick Boogs. Match went 3 minutes, and it felt way shorter than that, to be completely honest. Street Profits were also on commentary. The action really spilled to the outside, where Boogs had control and dropped Knight on the commentary table. The Profits were pumped up for this. Back inside the ring, Knight worked over Boogs until Boogs threw Knight into the corner, and they said, he's Boogsing up! He's booging up! Knight then came right back with a bunch of kicks and a running knee on Boogs. Knight worked to a front face lock, but Boogs threw Knight away. Boogs fired up, but Knight hit some right hands and kicks to the midsection. It didn't really matter because Boogs manhandled Knight and tossed him across the ring. Boogs lifted Knight, but Knight raked the eyes and hit the BFT for the win. After the match, Knight got on the microphone and confronted the Street Profits, calling them $5 asses. Knight ended the segment by throwing the microphone at the Profits. Overall, I thought it was good. Apparently, LA Knight has been doing PR stuff in Saudi Arabia, and the people in Saudi love LA Knight, apparently. Love LA Knight. So we had a 9.5 minute match. It was AJ Styles versus Karrion Kross. So Kross had control early on in what would have been a great match. This was an Impact back in 2013. These days, well, it was good, but not great compared to the standards of now, compared to the standards of back then. Styles tried to fight back at one point, but Scarlett cut Styles off by grabbing his foot when Styles got on the apron, and therefore, Kross kicked Styles off the apron. Michin would then respond by coming down to ringside to even the score. Kind of like her versus Scarlett. Kross then kept control and worked a chin lock on Styles until Styles fought his way out of chops. Styles then hit a running forearm and a makeshift backbreaker for a 2. Styles went for a tornado DDT, but Kross countered with a pair of suplexes for a 2 count. Kross went for a cross hammer, but Styles ducked it and went for a Styles clash. Kross then pushed Styles away. Styles settled for a phenomenal forearm, which got him a win. Styles was interviewed after the match backstage, and Styles said, Seth Rollins can't beat phenomenal, referring to the match coming up tomorrow at Night of Champions. So we got some stuff for next week. Roman Reigns will celebrate 1,000 days as WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion. Well, actually, Universal Champion. And 2 Money in the Bank qualifying matches have been announced as far as who's actually in the match. The first one, we'll see Zelina Vega against Lacey Evans. I see Zelina picking up that victory. Other one, not so sure. It's Montez Ford and LA Knight. I would like to see both of these guys. Essentially, I would have liked to see both of these guys in Money in the Bank. But if we're only getting one, sorry, Tez, it's going to have to be LA Knight. Yeah. Then we got our main event segment. It was the KO show. Owens began the segment by welcoming in his guests, Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, and therefore, out comes Paul Heyman. Heyman says, whoa, whoa, whoa. The tribal chief does not come out when you want him to come out. The tribal chief comes out when he wants to come out. Crowd starts booing, and Heyman said, hey, there's no booing the wise man, which is pretty funny. He did the same thing at the press conference today as well. Heyman was talking, and then all of a sudden the Usos music would hit, and they'd come down to the ring, walking right past Heyman, who was like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Jay then yelled at Sammy, and Sammy tried to respond, but Owens cut Sammy off, saying Owens knew Reigns wouldn't come out anyways. Owens said that he wanted to talk to the Usos. Owens explained that Zayn still cares about them. Kevin don't. Kevin said that he hopes to get through the Usos to get through to the Usos and Zayn, but because Zayn's been right about everything the whole time, Owens said that the Usos are the heart of the table, where Reigns is the head of the table. Owens said that Reigns treats the Usos like they are expendable. Owens called the Usos the greatest tag team in the history of WWE. He then said that they are Reigns' errands boys. And Jimmy responded by saying, no, we've been here doing the work since day one. We are the bloodline. We are. Or no, he said, we are the bloodline. I am the tribal chief. And as soon as he says that, Roman's music hits. Heyman's eyes pop out of his head like, what did you just frickin' say? And out comes Roman. Heyman looking scared for everybody's life right now. Reigns walked out alone and with a purpose. Reigns took the mic from Jay and threw it. He then confronted Jimmy with a long stare and knocked his mic out of his hand as well. Zayn then interrupted and told Roman, it's over, Roman. It's over. Your bloodline is collapsing right in front of you, and it's all your fault. Roman then slapped the microphone out of Sammy's hand, and instead of attacking Sammy or Sammy responding, poof, Kevin hits Roman. God dang stunner. Usos, Zayn, and Owens start brawling. Solo then beelines out for the ring and lays out Zayn and Owens. Roman flips out, yelling, pick him up, pick him up, pick him up. He picks him up, Sammy that is, and Roman spears him. The Reigns then climbed back into the ring and held the tag belts. Jay gave the belts to Solo, and Jimmy was hesitant in giving the belts to Roman before eventually doing so. Roman then held both sets of tag titles as the family posed with him, except for Jimmy, who took exception in the corner. So when it was earlier this year, Jay not sure if the Bloodline's doing the right thing and this and that conforming. Now it's Jimmy is not sure if the Bloodline's doing the right thing and conforming. Not conforming. So yeah, show goes off the air with Roman holding all the gold. Oh, tag gold. So yeah, I thought this was a very solid episode of SmackDown. As you can see, it's only 17 minutes in and we've already run through the whole thing because it was a smooth, quick feeling episode of Friday Night SmackDown. Now tomorrow, got some things. One thing, Night of Champions. Night of Champions is tomorrow morning. Tonight is actually the Impact Wrestling show Under Siege. Haven't watched that yet. And then Sunday, we do have WWE NXT Money in the Bank. Not Money. I was working on Money in the Bank graphics earlier, and I got Money in the Bank on the brain. No, it's NXT Battleground, and then AEW Double or Nothing. If you guys didn't see the wrestling wrap-up this morning, this is what I'm doing. Tomorrow, we're going to review Night of Champions. Sunday night, we're only going to review AEW Double or Nothing. And then Monday morning on the wrestling wrap-up is when I will do my review of NXT Battleground. Because I'm not going to do a Battleground Double or Nothing co-review or do two on Sunday night or no. And then so Sunday, you'll get AEW. Monday, during the wrestling wrap-up, the first part of that show will be my thoughts and review of the NXT show. Or as much as I see of it by the time I do that show, which hopefully could be all of it. So with that, now it's time to hear what you guys thought of tonight's Friday Night SmackDown. And to do so, we got to go to the polls. So let's refresh all these polls. As far as the Twitter poll does go, 76% liked the show, 19% thought it was just all right, and 4% did not like it. As far as the YouTube community poll does go, 73% liked the show, 17% thought it was just all right, and 10% did not like it. As far as some of the comments here, this person says, loved it. Versus, I thought it was great, but didn't like the Carrion losing another match. Well, I mean, if he's going to fight AJ the night before the big title match, he's going to have to lose. Versus, typical WWE main roster show. Versus, terrible go home. I don't know about that. And versus, outside of the bloodline, terrible go home. I don't know. Hey, everybody's entitled to their own opinions. I will say that for sure. As far as the Twitch poll does go, 75% liked the show, 25% thought it was just all right. And finally, the YouTube live poll, 80% liked the show, 17% thought it was just all right, and 2% did not like it. So there we go. Bingo, bango, bada boom. That's everything that did occur and take place tonight, Friday night Smackdown. So with that, guys, I'll see you back here tomorrow afternoon. If you're living in the West Coast, it'll be afternoon. If you're living in the East Coast, it might be evening. I don't know. Whenever Night of Champions is over, we'll be right here. We'll be live. We'll be talking about that entire show. So with that, guys, have a great rest of your evening. See you all weekend right here. Pro Wrestling Unlimited.